Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. I'm a licensed cognitive behavior therapist and a licensed mental health counselor. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the contents in this channel. This is for entertainment purpose solely. Please like, share, and subscribe. It does help me to spread the awareness for missing cases and for mental health awareness purpose too. This is all for entertainment purpose, like I said. We do not have much evidence and facts in this case. We are just going according to the hypothesis or the theory of Lancashire police saying that Nicola fell in the river. There's no evidence to point out to that direction. Because as we're aware of, like Peter Folding, the forensic search expert said that if Nicola fell in the river, she would have been found within a couple of hours or a couple of days, because he said she would have sunk underneath. It's a tragedy. So the police's hypothesis theory was that Nicola fell in the river. Let's start with the timeline that we were given. Superintendent Sally Riley clearly said in the first timeline that Nicola was missing at 9:10, that she was last seen at 9:10. Then the proper conference that was the next is when she said Nicola was missing at 9:15. She was last seen at 9:15. Then we had the third press conference where the timeline changed to Nicola was last seen by a witness at 9:10 and a mobile device moved to the bench. So once you have timelines that are being kept on changing, you have a doubt, a question already, a concern. If the cameras or the CCTV is not working in Garston Road, parts of Garston Road, to be accurate, that would be from the primary school, like Senior Intendant, Superintendent Rebecca Smith said. She said approximately from the primary school to the Iron Bridge and the River Tow part does not have a camera. So you can imagine there should have been more hypotheses, which Lancashire police, let's be fair, said that there was two other hypotheses, but they focused on this one as the main one. They did not even look at that one properly. I'm sure they're investigating it behind the scenes, but that is not good enough if you're not being informed of it. Let's hope on the 26th of January or 26th of June we get more information and we get justice for Nicola Bulley. Now going back to the case, there was clearly no evidence that the River Tow part, the Iron Bridge, and all those areas had no CCTV footage. So if somebody was already waiting for Nicola Bulley, and she rests in peace, around those bushes and all those things near the River Tow part, we saw that there are many ways, many small lanes to those places. You can imagine a cold winter night, winter morning, but it's still dark outside. It just got bright outside. Anyone could have been waiting for Nicola there. The question is, who knew Nicola takes a walk there? I'm sure her, besides her partner and her parents, her friends knew. Emma knew, her friend Emma White, and that is with evidence. I always speak facts and evidence. I don't like speculating. I don't like bringing anyone's in my panels and getting different speculations from people who live near Lancashire or people who live in Lancashire, because that isn't fair. We as social media have the right to speculate. That's a public right, I guess. But there has to be boundaries and limits. Imagine if Nicola Bulley was your loved one. Imagine the people who are trespassing your properties. Now seriously imagine that. Wouldn't you call the police? Imagine you live in a small, beautiful town. Whether they're hiding something or not is not up to us. But imagine if 24/7 somebody has a camera on your face. Whether you're penning from the caravan park site, or whether you're the school mothers picking up their children from school. There has to be boundaries. There has to be ethical morals. There has to be respect for the dead people. Because we're here to get justice for the victims. But we're not here to disrespect the victims, the dead victims, deceased victims. May they rest in peace. And we are not here to traumatize their daughters, their parents, or anybody else. And especially we're not here to tamper with the case so that Nicola doesn't get justice or other victims don't get justice. That is extremely important. How we carry ourselves has a lot to do with what kind of a person we are. No matter which country we come from, what culture, what religion, what faith, we are human beings. We bleed the same color. And if somebody disrespects the deceased, I don't believe any culture, religion respects that. We have to have respect for the dead people. Now today what I saw is just been, for the last couple of days, upsetting me. Really upsetting me, because I really care about Nicola Bulley's daughters. And I want justice to be served for Nicola Bulley. Let's not forget, Curtis Maydew was the man who was arrested or was charged for taking pictures of Nicola Bulley's deceased body. Whether some people believe it was her or not, whatever was in the water is supposed to be Nicola's deceased body. So for someone to be thinking about clicks, views, shares and likes, and taking a big fat mobile device and pointing it out on people's faces, recording deceased bodies, that just disgusts me. Not only does it disgust me, there's a time I start wondering, why am I actually covering these cases? And then I remember, for the purpose of these victims to get justice. But when people like Curtis Maydew are getting support to do something that is traumatizing a family, that means we have the burden, the thought, the negativity that's been created to carry. As long as we support people like Curtis, who are not disrespecting Nicola's dead body, disrespecting a whole community and town, because let's not forget, nobody's been charged or been guilty yet. Nobody's been charged yet, or maybe nobody will be charged. There's a reason these people are sworn under oath to become a police officer. It's their job. I'm here just to find out what happened to Nicola Bulley, but I'm not here to trespass. I'm not here to interfere in an active case, because that case belongs to Lancashire. We all care for Nicola Bulley and feel like we know her. Let's not forget, Nicola Bulley lived in Inskip. This case belongs to Lancashire. It belongs to Senior Superintendent Rebecca Smith. Hopefully you'll find out more on the 26th, but if Curtis keeps on behaving like that, it is just going to ruin Nicola's case. Another thing that I have noticed is, I've mentioned that before and I'm not scared of mentioning that. It can't be just a coincidence that Curtis just met or just ran into Paul and they're saying, hey, hello mate, whatever. What is the chances of it? And Paul being recorded by Curtis, and Paul not reacting, letting Curtis record it. Don't you find that to be strange? I personally believe that Curtis Media could be involved. Whether he's an informer, whether he knows Paul, whether he knows people in Lancashire, something is not right here. After filming somebody's deceased body, and the way the police, to be honest, in that video, which came on Curtis's video, you saw how they were disrespecting the body. May Nicola rest in peace. That is the reason many people on social media do not believe that Nicola is dead body was found. So I don't think that is social media's fault. I think people like Curtis Media just made the police look bad and the situation look bad. Yes, of course, we want everything to be exposed. We want everything to come to the light. But we don't need to be seen on Sky News and not even Sky News, on Curtis Media News, Curtis disrespecting a dead body. Now today was the most saddest, heartbreaking thing I saw. I had tears in my eyes. Watching him sit there. To start with, he was filming all these places today, and go to 16 minutes and 1 second, 2 seconds. I could be wrong, but while he's filming the two bridges, you see on the opposite direction a man with a brown dog that looks like Willow, and the man does look like Paul. So take and look for your own selves. It could be just another random man. But I think that's a coincidence that the dog looks so much like Willow, and Curtis decided to point the camera out there. That could be just somebody else and not Willow. But I found that a bit strange. And if it was Paul and Willow, just say if it was, and if Curtis wasn't aware of that, that's not his fault. Then my question is, why is Paul walking around those areas? I know he walks near the river, but why exactly there? Paul said in his interview that he went to the river the next day with his dog Willow, and he expected Willow to find something or bark or go somewhere. He said that didn't help. Nothing happened. Willow started running and just playing around. He said, bless him. Very strange. Paul did not say that day to search the rivers, although he was asked by the police to go home. I find that suspicious too. But he did not come back to search for his beloved partner, the mother of his two beautiful daughters. But he decided to come the next day. What was so important for him to come the next day? Was he scared that he left something behind in the decoy? Allegedly? I find a lot of things to be strange. Curtis Media is number one. Why would the police let him come back again? Do they want him to actually record Lancashire? How well does Curtis know Paul? And my second question is, how well does the psychic who found Nicola, he's supposed to be a dog walker. Do you remember? It was every in the news. Which dog walker was he? Which dog did he have? It's all a decoy. So the question is, does the psychic and Paul know each other? Does Curtis and Paul know each other? Does psychic, Paul, and Curtis, all three of them know each other? That's just a speculation. And I have good points to speculate on that. I find it very fishy that Paul did not stop Curtis from recording it. We have one YouTube creator who is recording Nicola is alleged, all Nicola's human remains. May she rest in peace. And the family and her daughters will be watching this. And then you have another YouTube creator breaching. Both of them are doing crime things. Breaching Nicola, a missing person, a deceased person, his medical records, and putting it out on the TV. That's funny. Then you have the third YouTube creator bringing into social media fake edited CCTV footages. So she is an accessory to whatever's been happening. Let's not forget, if Paul is involved, that means all these people working with him will be involved too, allegedly. Gisela K said that Nicola's keys were in her pocket. How would she know? Red flag. How would she know about these CCTV footages? She said Paul's male friend and Paul sent it to her. Who edited these footages? Was it Gisela True Crime, or was it Paul himself, or was he his male friend? It's just so sad when people get desperate for views and likes and would use somebody's medical records, would use somebody's actual footages of their body being taken out of the river, and not in one of the best ways. This is all a tragedy. And I hope the inquest comes soon and we get the right answers, we get the truth. Because this case is really sad. The more this continues, the more people are putting disrespect to Nicola's name, and they're not understanding the trauma they're causing our daughters. The daughters are almost 10 years old and almost 7 years old. One had a birthday recently, so I don't know if she turned 7 or is it the one who turned 10. These two beautiful young girls have to grow up with that thought in their head, with those pictures in their head. That is PTSD. They get up with nightmares and flashbacks and everything. And then it wasn't enough for Curtis to record Nicola, his deceased body. He had to actually, after his narcissistic ways, he went around everywhere, and then he decided to sit and relax right in front of Nicola's grave. How, let me choose the right word, how insulting is that? How disregarding is that? How unmindful is that? How unprofessional is that? How lack of empathy is that? Is that an antisocial personality disorder kind of behavior? Not to have empathy, not to have remorse. He was recently arrested for all this nonsense. He just went and got his stuff today, and he decided that is a psychopath. When you have no remorse, and he went directly to sit and record Nicola's grave and sit there and talk to Nicola like he is Nicola's family member. We have to remember we are the public. We are not Nicola's friends or family. We just want to know the truth, what happened to Nicola. So which part of let the family grieve doesn't Curtis media understand? If you're watching Curtis, have some self-respect. In fact, I enjoyed the way that neighbor spoke to you today. How can you go around recording people's houses? And I don't want to hear excuse from people saying that, no, he wasn't recording, the guy's camera turned on him. Curtis, I wish you did that stunt in London. Please do that. You wouldn't be dealing with the police, you would have been dealing with the public. And Londoners are nice, but Londoners don't joke like that. You are going and recording people's houses? Everything the guy said to you. At the start I was shocked, but I was thinking, finally you met your match. In fact, you met someone who's higher than you. Because he's a resident and he ain't taking no jokes. What do you mean now I came back? You're telling the police I came back because it's someone I want to see how the grass has grown. You can do that on Google. You don't need to go there to traumatize the neighbors. Coincidentally, you end up going there on a school time. That is very serious behavior. I'm telling you that as a mental health counselor. You cannot be going around minors and such and families that are grieving, parking near their school and churches and all that. You knew exactly what times the schools get off. Because we all live in the UK. They get off at the same time. You know that. You're going into caravan parks, you're going into camping sites, you're going into abandoned farms, you're recording Nicola's body, you're breaching people's rights. No wonder that police officer near Penny's house told you, I'll have to arrest you before the public bring harm to you. Of course, any public will bring harm to you at the rate you're going. You have no right recording public streets, whether it's legal or not. Record the public streets. Don't record people's houses. People are enough paranoid. They are too paranoid after this case of Nicola Bulley. Instead of letting them grieve in peace, you're just doing this for your views. Clicks and views. You don't give a damn about Nicola. Because if you did, you wouldn't have even recorded that part. You would have gone slowly, said a prayer for Nicola, laid down some flowers for her, and respectfully left the grave. You wouldn't be recording it. That is the reason there was a no-fly zone at a wedding, at a funeral. I'm really sorry. At a funeral. Why do you think there's a no-fly zone? Because of people like you, disgusting people like you, Curtis Media. If people don't want to tell you the truth, I'm telling you the truth. You need to leave these people in Lancashire alone. Whatever you have to say, you have a YouTube channel. Say it with respect. Right now, you look bad. Not Lancashire police. Let's be honest. You're traumatizing Nicola's daughters. Nobody else's. You and Penny and Gizla K. Especially Penny and you. You're recording the mother's body or human remains. You have no shame, Curtis. And Penny is sharing publicly Nicola's medical records or fake medical records. And Penny Bunny is supposed to be a mother, and you're doing that to two small babies, two small girls in Lancashire who just lost their mother. Where does this nonsense stop? What do you all do for views and clicks? Is that normal? You're actually dealing with a real family, with real trauma and pain. And guys, have you noticed, pay attention to one thing. What's his name? Curtis. Watch the clip that he did today. I find it very interesting that all of a sudden his narrative has changed to, guys, we're not sure if Paul did it or not. Maybe we want Paul to be guilty, but maybe he's not. Nobody wants Paul to be guilty. Paul is doing a good job, a brilliant job by himself. He doesn't need a help. But why are you all of a sudden? Weren't you the one who was spreading the news with the big microphone saying that it's Paul? Weren't you the one who brought Paul's depths and the caravan park and the business they do with Paul and Nicholas written on one of the caravans? That is all you, Curtis. You seem to know too much information about Paul. That's the reason I asked. I believe most of these people know each other, somehow. The psychic wasn't a coincidence. He was called. He was noted to come there at that time. That's the reason he was looking, and it wasn't in the reefs. Nicola's body was, I believe, floating towards the reefs, and he kept on pointing his finger. And apparently he found the body floating around 11:32 or 11:36, but the police did not come till 12:20 or something like that. It was the helicopter that was hovering around. I don't understand what was happening in this case. All I know is that Nicola Bulley did not fall in the river. And her dog, Willow, is a swimmer. Nicola is a good swimmer. The water is shallow. The cameras were not working. The posters say Nicola was missing from her home in Enskip. And honestly, it could be just an honest thing. I'm not like Curtis, I'm not going to say about Paul, no. Paul needs to be checked and scrutinized, if you ask me. But I'm thinking about Penny. Maybe we are too hard on Penny. Because I thought of it recently. What if actually Penny came across Willow running around? And a granddaughter, was it her daughter? That can be really possible. And then she called the vet. I found that interesting, why she called the vet. But now that I'm hearing that the vet is number or something was on the collar, on Willow's collar. So if that is the case, makes sense. But it still does not make sense on one thing. Willow would have barked, Nicola would have yelled. If the water is freezing, you're in a fight or flight mode. You would do anything to fight for your life. Somebody would have heard. So that doesn't make sense that coincidentally Penny just passed by there and she found Willow. No. Especially not when the timelines are messed up. That I refuse to buy. Definitely, I refuse to buy that. That's why I believe it was a decoy. That's why I believe everyone's involved. Start with the witness, they're involved. Start with the partner, he's number one. Because the way he's acting is fishy, allegedly. Not allegedly, we can see that. That's a fact. The friends, I don't believe there's one honest friend. I thought Jill was the most honest, but when I study her more in her interviews, no. She's supposed to be Nicola's closest friend. And she said that Nicola was a school mom. So why didn't you see her, Jill? She's a school mom. Why do you look so worried, tense, anxious in your interviews? I know many people have a lot to say about Charlotte, but in fact, I believe if someone is closest to the honesty here, it is Charlotte. She's the only person in the whole of St. Michael's who actually says it out directly in the cameras to Sky News, Channel 5, all the news channels. She said, it'll be astonishing if you just manage to fall down. If you manage to fall in the river, it's astonishing. She said, there's a bench there for a purpose. Listen to the words carefully. She said, we've been walking here all our lives and we don't fall in there. We know better than that. So why wouldn't Nicola know better than that? Nicola knew better than that. Nicola's parents said that Nicola wouldn't walk near the river banks. It was all premeditated. I would say I personally believe Penny knows something. How involved is she? I'm not sure. I would like to believe that Penny is innocent and that Penny is behaving like that because people are trespassing her property. And she's just a decideful person. She doesn't like people stepping or trespassing in her property, which is understandable. But then, like I said, Penny still is in my red flag list because Penny doesn't make sense. She's hiding herself from the cameras. Especially she got my attention when she was told by Curtis, we heard you don't like dogs. When Curtis told Penny that I heard you don't like dogs, the way she reacted wasn't normal. She really got upset. Obviously anyone would get upset by a question like that, but it looked like it was deeper than that. And if Penny and Paul were doing business together according to who else than Curtis? Curtis knows too much for his own boots. Either, I don't know who Curtis could be informing to or who he's working with. And I'm being honest, whether it's Lancashire Police or whether it's allegedly, whether it's Paul, and I really believe that, whether it's with Emma, I don't believe Curtis for a second. I don't. Something is not right there with Curtis, the psychic, and Paul. There's something going on there. And I hope we find out what it is. I don't see Paul letting people record him and put it up on TV and without him reacting. And especially after seeing today, when I saw that later on in the clip, when I heard Curtis saying clearly, guys, disrespectfully sitting in front of Nicola's grave, and he says, guys, we don't know, maybe Paul is innocent and We have to keep an open mind. Open mind to what? To Paul, who's telling us clearly that I know that the police look at the partner first? Is that why you got your timeline obviously right? Paul doesn't look like a person who will get his hands dirty, honestly, allegedly. He looks like someone who has a lot of connections. And since the inquest is going to be going on for 2 days, I heard, I wonder what they have to say. I really wonder. I wonder if they're going to rule this out as an accident and just say, yeah, Nicola fell in the river and she could have fallen from the other side. We're not sure yet, and that's why we're still inquiring about it, and we get back to you by December. The reason I say that is because the other inquest, they said you will hear about that in autumn. You will hear furthermore, although they finished the report saying there's lessons to be learned. That's it. I feel really sorry for Nicola. I wish she stayed in Essex. At least a place that her investigation would have been taken much more seriously. You have characters in this case that you start wondering. People need to sit and focus actually. What's happening behind the scenes? Why would Lancashire Police let Curtis Media come back to town? I know people are going to say it's because his bail was over. Somebody actually breached the right of a dead person, a deceased person, and he's allowed to come back in 3 months? I could understand if they told him you can come back after the inquest is done. But why now? And the psychic, where did he come from? But Curtis really shocked me. It's not about disappointing me. I don't know him to be disappointed. But today he showed how low, how shameful he is. No wonder the people in Lancashire are calling the police on him. And I understand that neighbor who came outside. And I saw the people who were cheering up Curtis Media. I know many people watch this for drama to get a kick out of it, and who am I to say what you should watch or what you shouldn't watch? But I'm just saying, let's remember, we are in this case, especially my channel, we're in this case to find out the truth about what happened to Nicola. We are in this case, and we all in this channel are working on this case to spread awareness for victims. We are not here to trespass people's property. We are mindful. And in this channel, now and then I hear, very seldom, like 2 days ago, somebody talking about, oh, it's worrying, kind of like saying that. No, they said that it's the same. Are you telling us the same thing? We already knew that, or nothing new. Maybe nothing new for you, but for me, I'm trying to figure out who messed up the timeline. Why? Because that could be a motive. I'm not just going to come here like other creators and say, guess what I found? Breaking news and this and that. And I'm not going to waste my time on a dog tag. I want to know if Nicola was missing from a home in Inskip, like the poster on the tree, the caravan park side, Garston Road says, or was Nicola abducted from River Topart? Was Nicola abducted from near the fields? Was Nicola abducted near Latimer Road? Could Nicola have been abducted near Lowing Waters? We don't know. Could Nicola have fallen in the river? Not on the side of the bench. Never. You have to give Peter Foley that much credit. Everyone says that. That place was too shallow, and even if she fell in the deeper point near the bench, she would have still been found. Because the police divers were searching for Nicola day and night and day, for the first 2 weeks. When Paul was telling us, I don't believe the river's what happened, scrutinize out buildings and everything, it was only for one reason, so that everyone could disperse from the riverside and he could come and put back whatever he wanted to put in the river. We saw Paul walking from the post. Did you all see any empathy in his face? Did he look like somebody was grieving of losing his partner 4 months ago? No. Did you all hear Curtis saying in his clip later on, oh, Paul has lost so much weight, he's become so thin? Curtis, Nicola's dead. Paul has lost weight, he can put on weight. And if you're acting like Paul is a grieving father, Paul had the chance to say it in his interview. He doesn't need you to be translating for him. All these people are playing a game with us like we were born yesterday. What happened to poor Nicola Bulley? Nicola James Bulley deserves justice. Foul play was done on the 27th of January, allegedly. Somebody was waiting for Nicola there, or the river topper. You know why? Superintendents, with all due respect, Sally Riley and Senior Superintendent Rebecca Smith, if Nicola fell in the river, I would have bought that theory, that hypothesis in 1 second if you weren't searching for dash cams. Why were you searching for dash cams up to now? You all said, oh, because you all wanted to fill the gaps in the timeline. It doesn't help. It doesn't really help. How Nicola, if Nicola was even seen in the dash cams, what is it going to help? Unless you see somebody else following her, because you all said clearly that Nicola fell in the river. So if somebody fell in the river and you all are sticking to that hypothesis, why would you all still be searching for dash cams? That question is not only to Lancashire Police, that is to Heather Gibson and Emma White, who are organizing the searches. Superintendent Sally Riley was very, decided. She wasn't changing her mind. She was very decided and focused that Nicola fell in the river. Nicola Bulley fell in the river. A mobile phone was found in the bench. She fell in the river. There was no criminal act. There wasn't a third party involvement. Okay? Let's say we buy all that. We accept all that. Why are you still searching for dash cams? If she fell in the river, because you'll know that somebody could have abducted her from the river. Let's be honest here. And that is exactly what happened. So the question is, what was the motive? I always knew and believed that it was abduction, but what was the motive? The motive could have been money. I always say start with money. Money, affairs, love, jealousy, all are good motives. And in this case, this is all my personal opinion, I believe all of them were actually involved. Money was involved, affairs was involved, or affair was involved, allegedly, because you can see it's written all over. It's written all over their faces. Look at them. It's written clearly over their faces. They're sitting and laugh They're standing in their interviews, they can't even keep a straight face. They're giggling. I was saying that Nicola just went out for a walk. You just go out on a walk with your dog, and then you just fall. No, no, and then you just disappear. Disappear, vanished. Everything comes to a brick wall. All part of the script. Mobile phone and the harness on the embankment and the bench, and Willow running loose, part of the decoy. Cameras, CCTV footage is broken, part of the decoy. Very questionable things. Why did the police come on 4th of April? Because the HMRC corner sent them. That means he ain't buying it either. The police came to see if Nicola could have gone over the wheel. She didn't. She didn't. I'm shocked at Curtis and his disgusting behavior. No shame. Sitting there in a private, he can turn around and say it's a public graveyard, but he's sitting next to people who are resting in peace, hopefully. Every culture, every religion teaches us to respect the dead, no matter what religion we are. But yet, Curtis is a narcissistic who cares all about himself. Nicola's laying 6 foot under, and he has his camera focused on him, enjoying the weather and talking about Paul could be innocent. How dare do you? Imagine if Paul is guilty. Imagine how insulting that will be for Nicola Bulley. This man has no shame. And I won't be surprised if he's working with Paul. Please take a look at his clip. I wouldn't like to give him subscribers and viewers, but I know most of the people, we all look at it because he does. I'll agree with only one thing. I love the way he makes his video cameras with all the views and all the beauty, but not. Besides that, I would rather give that up because of his disgusting behavior with so many neighbors complaining. It doesn't necessarily mean they have something to hide. It's just that they're tired. Imagine, we on YouTube are dedicated to getting justice for Nicola, but people in Lancashire have to go to work, have to eat, have to sleep, have to take their children to school. So why are people still trespassing or going near their properties after 4 months or 5 months? But I think this guy has access to bigger places. That's my personal opinion. Something's not right with it. Something is definitely not right with Curtis. So what I was going to say, the last thing I'd like to end by saying, this is just a speculation. I could be completely wrong. But if I'm wrong, so be it. If you go to Curtis's last video clip, go to 16 minutes exactly and 1 second. It starts from 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. It goes very quickly within 2-3 seconds. He's taking the view, he's trying to tell us, he writes, look at the depth of the water, and he's on the 2 bridges. Notice when he takes like the camera is facing the opposite of the bridge. I don't know if he did that on purpose, and I like to watch the backgrounds very clearly. It was strange. I was just thinking of Paul, and I saw somebody who looked like him. You see a guy with a pair of shorts, quite tall. He was walking like Paul, but when I put it back again, it looked at the same time that it could be anyone. The guy had a dog that was exactly the same color of Willow. It was a dark brown and white dog, but the dog looked a bit bigger, and it's hard to see if somebody has a good camera and such things. I do have a camera, but I'm not good in checking these things. But I zoomed it in from my device, and I could see clearly that it's a man walking a dog. You can see him properly. The question came up to my head. It does look like Paul. What if it's Paul, and what if Curtis was going to meet him then? Or was it just a coincidence if it's Paul that Paul was walking on the other side? Is Paul searching for something he dropped, or something allegedly the hitman could have dropped, the third party could have dropped? Something is not right. Besides, even if that one is wrong, the way Paul and Curtis said hello to Paul, and Paul replied hello back, I don't think that was a coincidence, because Paul knows who exactly Curtis is. Because he's so disgraceful, Paul wouldn't have missed out that Curtis was filming his partner. And Paul didn't even sue him for that. That shows how much love Paul has for Nicola, sadly. Would you let someone film your partner and you keep quiet? Would you let someone breach your partner's medical rights on TV, like Penny Bunny, saying that Nicola has schizophrenia and bipolar, and you would keep quiet, Paul? I'm starting to wonder if Paul actually did something.